beauty and the horror of the universe is within us all, and the survival of our species is profoundly dependent on our ability to see ourselves in each other. If change is the expression of nature's joy, then perhaps it is in the unchangeable that we find her sorrow. To understand human suffering and to be able to relate it to those beyond the wall is a superpower. Empathy. This is the way forward, and it is the next stage in our evolution. If we desire for humankind to survive the distance to our next station, if we dream to walk beyond our single blue grain of sand and link the cosmos with our steps, then we must acknowledge that which divides us can only do so if we refuse to change.
4, 3, 2,
Hey, my name is Joe Hertler, and I've spent the last 15 years writing, producing, and playing music with my band, the Rainbow Seekers. One of the things that has always struck me is the almost routine amount of kindness that people have shown us while traveling. And for many years, I've felt that in our modern society, that perhaps some level of goodness had prevailed in the wake of our particularly brutal human history. Our ability to coexist and cooperate is a radical form of social evolution, one that would appear in recent times to be somewhat under threat. My hope in this video is to elaborate on a structure of deceptively simple, yet often overlooked ideas that are paramount to our continued existence as a species. And hey, if you disagree with anything I'm about to say, please know that some of my most enlightening moments in perspective have come from those whose viewpoints are in opposition to my own. And I'd love to hear what you think. And more importantly, why you think what you think. Let me know in the comments. And to anyone watching this video, I won't make a dime off of it. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. Many of my frustrations, they've been focused on this mean-spirited, pervasive, and really pointed way that we have been communicating with each other. Combine this with literal trench warfare that's gone on for like 4 years, economic fears, and total social unrest across the modern world. It seems to me that the darkness in our hearts that's always been there is in the process of shredding its way through our humanity. And this is seen by the chaos that is in the process of reaching a much larger theater. What's going on in the world right now, this is not new. I personally see it as a reflection of the unfathomable and normalized brutality that has defined like 99.99999% of human history. It has just always been in our benefit as a survival mechanism to fear our neighbors, because they might show up and try to do this thing called raping and pillaging, which is incredibly literal in its meaning. AKA they attack, killing anyone who resists, enslaving the survivors, stealing all of your wealth, forcing intercourse upon mostly women and children, and sometimes men, and then they usually establish a brutal satellite government to extract your natural resources, like your wheat and your corn, or your family members as slaves. And the core reason for these behaviors, as it is throughout the entire animal kingdom, is that living things tend to get hungry.
Have we not learned to live together in relative peace and harmony?
Our big ol' human brains over thousands and thousands of years adapted more complicated versions of fear and anger and hatred. We developed technologies such as spears and swords and trebuchets and guns and this trusty CZ-22 long rifle, which I've had since I was 10, which the other day I used to successfully defend myself and my friends against an empty can of Mountain Dew. True story, during my first foray into the single world of dating, I'd met someone on Hinge. We had maybe shared a couple of messages over a week or two, and then I got a random call from her asking if I owned a firearm, which at the time I thought maybe was like a trick question or something. It turned out she had a terminally injured woodchuck on her property that needed some assistance crossing over. So for our first date, I showed up with a 22 and what little testosterone I had to myself at the time, and I helped that woodchuck, which was definitely not doing well, cross over from point A to point B. I was basically an angel, And on the way home, I cried. And about 2 weeks later, she broke up with me. True story. We developed technologies such as spears and swords and trebuchets and guns and walls and castles and all sorts of crap to protect ourselves from invaders, but also to hunt and gather, oftentimes hunting the neighboring communities and civilizations and gathering their resources. But then there was this revolutionary yet profoundly simple concept that came up not all that long ago, most notably and popularized by a guy named Jesus. But he was certainly not the first person to bring it up. It seems like most advanced civilizations, if they had some sort of written law code, it usually included something to this effect. That really went against our admittedly brutal, yet practical and time-tested survival instincts. This deceptively simple phrase laid the foundation for entire religions and philosophies and has been restated by humanity's greatest leaders and thinkers for thousands of years. Yet we so easily forget it. It is not lost on me. Complex problems often require equally complex and nuanced solutions, but I do believe that the overarching issue of alleviating human suffering begins by embracing empathy and showing kindness and compassion for our fellow human beings. Additionally, and it's just as important, we gotta show respect and embrace the stewardship that we've been given for the world that we call home and the cool critters that we share it with, even if some of them taste kinda good. Hear me out. I'm not trying to speak to you from some lofty high horse. I do not think I'm above you unless you're holding your phone over your head, which in that case, this is more representative where I'm speaking to you from. I guess I'm still above you in this frame. Anyways, no grand truth has been revealed to me. I'm not trying to shove anything down your throat. But honestly, some of the stuff that I'm about to discuss in this video, I'm pretty much right. I have watched a lot of YouTube. And even more so, the times I've just been a moron. And I know what you're thinking. I know that could be hard for you to believe, but just ask one of my ex-girlfriends who've helped me become the single and happy man I am today. Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing you have to fear is the person whose power is attained and financed by summoning within you the fear of any particular group of people. There have been many things over the years that we've gotten right. I'd like to think it has something to do with what we've gotten wrong. After all, we only know what we know, and we tend to see what we already believe. Yet so often we fall victim to opportunists, false prophets, and sometimes even well-intentioned guiding voices as flawed as our own. But there are some who understand our triggers, our dormant devices and animal urges that our gods buried deep long ago within the hidden dark of our souls. Those who willingly sow division, there is an insatiable emptiness within them. And it is from this place that they summon the howling and cornered animal in our hearts. They win our affection with scraps of truth, and they speak to our hurt and to our hunger. They may even take our hands and extend our index fingers, and then show us towards the others, those who shall be blamed. They remove our mirrors and reveal to us the source of our grief and of our fear, and how this source, how it builds a great ship and plans to ferry the new world to build a new home, with no plans to make room for you and your ways and those who you hold closest.
It's what preserves the order of things. Fear.
The fear in your heart. Who gave it to you? And in which ways did they profit? I'm a huge weather nerd, and a long time ago I had fantasies about becoming a meteorologist. And while that didn't exactly manifest, if there's one thing I've learned about chaotic and energetic systems, is that they push and pull in an effort to find balance. Fundamentalism and progressivism, they're always going to be at odds to some degree. It's a cycle. These things have happened before and they will happen again, and they will find balance one way or another, and perhaps with or without us. Our world has everything we need to keep us fed and safe, but we have to see and reach and feel beyond our tangled borders and walls. We must learn to cooperate and show compassion for each other, while still holding accountable the people and the systems who we employ to govern. If we all believe that our souls are born equal and that our bodies die the same, it's gotta be worth considering, especially when there's a rollover in systems. What value do they assign the individual human life? We are minnows in a hurricane, fed through the same pinholes through which our night sky bleeds. The dream that led us here, into our great and beautiful and violent storm, it is long washed away by the time we wake. And though our consent was never given to the making and to the matter of our being, it is here that we swim, where light and water are assigned their forms. I assure you, and you may have to look closely, but there is decency here. It falls like shimmering strands of marine snow and ignites the sky in ruptured crimson veins and golden lashes. As above, so below. Just like our own journey, darkness too must come to an end. We've come a long way, and the progress we've made, it is because goodness is a choice, and choosing to wield it, this is your power. Against the forces that aim to keep us in our beds, there is no act of resistance more profound than to rise day after day and to respond with humility and compassion towards those whose fears and frustrations have been weaponized. All living things and their souls are made of heaven and earth, and the fire within your own has been made strong by the storms that raised it. But like any well-made fire, the storm that it's currently in is only gonna make it stronger.